This one's called His Panic. Subtext: Why Americans Fear Hispanics in the US. Okay, this book is scary. That's why the encasing is black. It's a paperback. And then you open it, and then it's really gray, and the side is like you could imagine like a sidewalk. Though it's written by Geraldo Rivera, so he's like a newscaster. There's a photo of him at a ceremony. It says he grew up in a neighborhood. So that's pretty much all of us. So I'm right. He is on television. Oh, he knows O'Reilly, the not the store, um the guy on television. I think he's Puerto Rican, and he came to America. Um, Page 14, it goes on to say when the Aussie and Harriet ideal was sweeping the nation in the Eisenhower days, hard times in the inner city, intensified residential and racial segregation, crime and unemployment increased, public schools spiraled downward. Um, it cuts off. I have an image of my dad. No, that's not me saying it. That's Geraldo. So he refers to himself in the book. He refers to other news companies like the WCBS, the Weather Channel. It says this giant surge of men, women, and children abandoned their stricken homeland. Entire cities, villages, and towns were deserted in the old country and questing undaunted. And okay, the word undaunted, that's like I shouldn't be there. That's another book. I don't know why it's there. If you know the book about Triss and Four, they made a uh, there's a book called Dauntless, and it's about a faction, faction against faction. It's about the government. It doesn't mention if the government is a problem or if the government is working together with Puerto Rico. It doesn't mention Hispanics in at work. It just says that he's Puerto Rican, that he's from Puerto Rico, and that he's on television. So the book starts off that way. In quotations, your Mexicanness, does this bother you at all? Seems like anything some illegal Mex does. Mex in short. Um, it doesn't. It just cuts Mexican short. It just says MEX. Do you have some ridiculous excuse for them? If this stunt doesn't penetrate that tiny mind of yours, you're in the wrong country. It says DB, California. It was an email. It was to Geraldo Rivera. Um, that's no big deal, I guess. It was just an email. I'm not reading a comic book, so there's no images. But you can tell what they're talking about. It's about an email. The word xenophobic is thrown in there. It means fear. So xeno, it's pronounced with a Z. It's spelled with an X. We have to follow the Italians, Greeks, Germans, Jews, and everyone else that came before us. We've got to learn the language. This is at the end of page 34. Get an education, everything else that defines citizenship. People are scared that we keep coming. He doesn't go on to explain on the news that why he's missing and why he's not on the news today in 2020 talking about this topic of Mexicans coming from Mexico, places of Hispanic origin to the United States. It leaves it up to your imagination. So that can't be good, living in America. Consider this sad email. Geraldo, while my urge is to resort to the invective, when it comes to you, as I find you a truly despicable person, I shall try to remain civil. Your comments that the failure of the immigration bill was due to poor leadership and even racism are patently nonsense. Why is this, not this, why is it that Hispanics always attribute their own failure to measure up as racism? The last thing we need in this country is another class of well-coached moochers. Hispanics have made it into a profession. They bring nothing to the American party but their pregnant bellies and low IQs. Why would we embrace these moochers? I count myself among those who would round them up and deport them. The country would be the better for it. If the U.S. becomes a Hispanic country, we are doomed. Period. Within a generation, two at the most. The U.S. will look just like Mexico does now, a third world country. I'm not quite sure what they mean by third world. We live on Earth, so that's the world. The other sides are people that don't speak English. They want to come to the United States for what they call job opportunities. Though you have to go to school first, you have to learn the language. But for some of us, like me, that were born in the United States, it's easier to grow up learning the language than to grow up at a third world country and then come to America after you've matured. It's a lot harder. It gets a lot harder. You run into like bullies, and if you're speaking English down like say a hallway, and you bump into people and you ask them in another language if you need help. Si necesitas saber dónde está el baño o dónde está un maestro o maestra y dónde está el ¿cómo se dice? El classroom, I guess. That's Spanglish though. It could be real difficult, but what I recommend doing is that you just I don't know, look for help, and don't ask much from others. That's not the way the world runs. Even if you grew up on the other side and knowing a different language, I should know because I'm from Mexico. My favorite sport is boxing. I like the UFC, the same thing. If it's fighting, I'm pretty much good at it. I know how to explain my way out of a fight. Knowing I live in America, um, you kind of put two and two together, and then you just have to be smart. I'm at page 43, page 44.